You were trained to be harmless, to smile, to ask for permission, to drop your eyes in hope. The world rewards politeness. The world doesn't reward harmlessness. It responds to power under control. That is what I mean by be a monster with a leash. It isn't rudeness or cheap violence, or becoming a domestic tyrant. It's real capacity to cause impact combined with the inner discipline to choose when and how to use it. The difference between men who beg for respect and men who receive it without asking is exactly here. Capability, control, and a code. Tonight we build that. Basement to street. No romanticism. No excuses. The nice guy who markets himself as harmless isn't virtuous. He's just incapable. Virtue is born when capacity submits to will, when impulse is filtered by judgment, when aggression becomes clean. Boundaries, hard negotiation, careful language, terrain reading, and the rarest trait of all, patience that only the dangerous can sustain. Machiavelli never asked you to be a wolf all the time. He asked you to keep the lion's teeth and the fox's cunning, and to know which one governs in which moment. The fox recognizes patterns, avoids traps, chooses the battlefield. The lion communicates real consequence, the promise that you will do exactly what you said you'd do, without needing to say it twice. When those two natures sit at the same table and make peace inside you, what others see is calm. People sensitive to power feel that calm and adjust themselves around it. Sun Tzu is the antidote to the caricature that says, be aggressive all the time. The general who wins before he fights is the man who positions, who chooses the ground, who sets the timing, who moves the arena to where he holds advantage. In the 21st century, that means moving arguments from shouting to documents, from gossip to metrics, from hallways to rooms with minutes. It means refusing the other side's emotional game and proposing your own cost, benefit, deadline, owner, acceptance criteria. People who live on noise hate this structured silence, but they yield because they don't know how to fight clarity. A modern version of this thesis went viral because it hit a nerve. It's better to be a dangerous man who has it under voluntary control than a harmless man who can't act. The thing called shadow isn't a moral monster. It's a reservoir of force, ambition, desire, hunger, rage. When you repress it, you become passive-aggressive. You explode at the wrong times. You apologize for existing. When you integrate it, you become dense. Your gaze slows down. Your voice drops half a step. Your nose gets short. Your presence occupies space without asking. None of this licenses abuse. The leash exists for three non-negotiables: consent, law, and long-term consequence. Consent means the other side can say no and walk away, and you respect that. Law means stupidity is not courage and crime is not cleverness. Consequence means a short win that shreds trust as a disguised loss. That tripod turns your aggression into reliability, and reliability beats charisma when the game is serious. Why does this matter so much for men? Because without clear boundaries, you bleed out by 1,000. Small cuts, extra tasks dropped on you Friday at 5, delays that somehow only happen to you, surgical. Disrespect in the middle of meetings, agreements that evaporate because they were never written. Without the capacity to back your word, you outsource dignity. With capacity and control, your simple presence reshapes the room. It isn't performing intimidation, it's abolishing the need to perform. Your body is your first argument. 3 strength sessions a week on basic movements repair your spine and your head. This is not mirror cult, it's neural density. Some literacy in fighting, months of boxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, recalibrates distance, teaches timing, organizes panic. A man who has taken shots with gloves on and honored rules learns not to confuse volume with danger. Neutral posture, rhythmic breathing, eyes that don't flicker. You enter rooms as if you belong there. Suddenly you do. Your head is your second argument. Stupid aggression is a car without brakes. You need a map. Read strategy, negotiation, human behavior. Write a page a day. What is the actual game here? Who profits from what? Who really decides? What are the criteria? Where can I change incentives? Learn to see invisible systems, habits, policies, dashboards. Stop preaching at people and recode structures. Most opponents can't resist an elegant incentive shift because they don't. Notice you move the table. Your language is your silent weapon. Don't bark. Frame. The person who lives on emergencies will try to drag you into their clock. You respond with choices and record, this or that, today or Monday, with owner and date. The person who argues morality at high volume wants to debate volume. You answer with engineering, value, cost, preconditions, milestones. At home, the pattern is similar. No insults, no theater, clear boundary. I don't have conversations at a shout. When we're calm, we continue. I don't accept diffuse blame. Tell me exactly what you need from me. If that's incompatible with what you want, I'll reorganize my life. The tone lowers, the dust settles, and if it doesn't, at least you've cleaned your side of the mirror. Intensity is finite. Don't burn it on every hill. The monster with a leash gathers data early, builds alliances in the middle, and only lets the body talk at the end, once, with receipts. You try friendly resolution, you formalize, you go to the decision maker, you prepare the consequence, and if the line gets crossed, you apply exactly what you said you would apply. No speeches, no humiliation, no spectacle. The world comes to understand that near you there is a second chance. There isn't a third. There's a risk here that needs naming. The poisonous shine of people who confuse cynical manipulation with intelligence. There's a dark triad that seduces the insecure because it promises shortcuts. Charm without responsibility, cunning without honor, coldness without loyalty. That is not the project. We are building the rarest presence in the room, a strategist who protects, a leader who prefers peace, not out of weakness but surplus strength, a man who tells the truth before lies become comfortable. Status exists. You can deny it and be ruled by it, or you can play it ethically and put it to work for what matters. Microsignals count. Grooming, clothes that fit, stillness, economy of gesture. Macro signals weigh more. Repeated competence, allies who defend you when you're absent, results that make their own noise. A defined frame is gold. The goal is X by Y. Constraints are A and B. Here are 3 paths with explicit trade-offs. The one who brings clarity gets priority in any adult room. Knowing how to leave is part of the leash. The world is wide and dependency makes you accept insults as if they were conditions. Alternatives are the oxygen of dignity. Keep door B open. Build a second pipeline. Cultivate skills that travel with you. Cut costs to expand. Freedom. Once you have places to go, your voice changes. People negotiating with you feel it. Terms improve not because you scowl, but because you can stand up, thank them, and leave. Relationships don't require less density. Masculine intensity becomes leadership when it's coupled with tenderness and limit. Don't reward lying. Don't punish vulnerability. Don't threaten to force cooperation. Describe choices and own yours. If you promise, deliver. If you err, repair without drama. Say early what moves you. I value frankness. I prefer solving fast. I don't negotiate respect. The wrong person will resent you for it. The right person will relax. At work, monsters with a leash become indispensable. They own fewer things, but they own them completely. They write the mission so even the distracted understand. They create a simple panel so anyone can see what was agreed, what's delivered, what's missing. They anticipate the choke point and arrive with the wrench before the siren. And when the siren does sound, they don't point. They fix. When credit shows up, they spread it, and the whole corridor fights to keep them, because pressure loses its teeth around them. You don't become this because a video inspired you. You become it because of a ritual you decide now. Every week one physical win, a heavy session, an honest run, cold water that humiliates your theatrics. Every week one strategic win, a piece of writing. That becomes policy, a clean no, a deadline you pull toward you and meet. Every week one relational win, a hard truth told kindly. Every week one piece of trash removed from your life, a debt, a drawer, a coward habit. Anger is not the enemy, it's a siren. If it signals a broken boundary, restore the boundary. If it signals incompetence, train the weakness. If it signals you aren't being heard, change the medium. Write, record, go to the right person, book, the right room. Name it, breathe, decide, act once. Men who ruminate drown in their own heads. Maybe this sounds like too much. Test it against results. If being harmless were working, you wouldn't be here. Maybe it sounds like too little. If you crave permanent war, that's a confession of weakness. The strong prefer peace because they can underwrite it. The only peace that matters is the peace that Depends on your capacity to end disorder if you wanted to, and almost never needing to because you don't. 2 scenes every man knows. Friday, 5 p.m. A pile hits your desk with no clear owner. No clear deadline, no courtesy. Old you swallows it, promises, delivers late, takes the beating, apologizes for existing. The you with a leash writes back, offers options, formalizes priority, asks what drops if you pick this up. Next week you propose Tuesday planning. The 3rd week you agree that after 3 p.m. On Friday, only requests stamped by the owner count as urgent. No scandal. A system. Slowly, the culture learns. Another scene, a negotiation with pressure to decide now. Old you justifies and sells yourself short. The you with a leash changes the axis. I decide fast when price reflects. Value. Here's the value. Here's my minimum. If that doesn't work, no hard feelings. Silence. They move or they don't. If they don't, you do. You never lose what you don't want. Write a code. 1 page tonight. I do not lie to the people I love or lead. I do not outsource my self-respect. I will not escalate to violence except to protect life. And I train so I never need to. I fix what I break. I keep my word or I renegotiate. Before the deadline. I walk away clean when an offer insults my value. I leave people in places better than I found them. That page is your anchor when the weeks. Storm tries to drag you back to the old version. 90% of the time, be the fox. Position, document, frame, protect the long game. 10% of the time, be the lion. When someone tries to miniaturize you in public, when safety is at stake, when a line is crossed after explicit warning, do what's necessary once, without shouting, without humiliation, without theater. Then go back to sleep. Lions sleep because they can. There's an aesthetic here, sure. The basement, the concrete, the bare bulb, the soap that burns, the cut that teaches. But what matters isn't the bar fight fantasy, it's the engineering of outcome. You don't need an audience. You need levers. The first lever is your attention, where you spend it. Who gets access, what gets cut. The second is your word, short, specific, audible. The third is your body, energy that doesn't betray you. The fourth is your network. Serious people who pull you back to reality when you try to sabotage yourself. With those, the rest of the world stops being a minefield and becomes a board with predictable pieces. It might feel cold to mention consent, law and consequence in the same breath as ambition, anger, and power. It isn't cold, it's mature. Any boy can slam the rage pedal. Men grow up when they learn to break to protect their destiny and what they love. Once that leash becomes part of your neck, you walk differently. Rooms feel it. Many conflicts die unborn because people read what you're capable of and prefer to cooperate. That's the secret no one tells you. The more dangerous you are, the less you need to look. Dangerous. In a world obsessed with appearances, those who are real win quietly. If you want a simple test, do this. This week, refuse a request you would only accept out of fear. Rewrite your answer in the language of choice, not guilt. Watch what happens to your posture, your sleep, the respect that comes back. Then do the opposite move where your first impulse was to complain. Offer targeted help. Not to play saint, but to remember your power doesn't need applause. Applause comes inevitably to the builder. There's one final stitch that holds it together. Radical responsibility for yourself. No one is coming to save you. No one hands you a medal for being nice. The adult contract is different. You deliver, you protect, you speak clearly, you choose. You stop begging for approval and start negotiating agreements. You dance less to other people's music and start composing your own. The ones who dislike it will try to guilt you for growing. That's the tax. The ones who need you whole will thank you for finally showing up. Every man should be an absolute monster, but on a leash. Capable, calm, governed by rules better than his. Impulses. Because when the room senses you can act, you rarely need to. You win before the fight. You keep the peace not by omission but by capacity. That isn't violence. That's stewardship of your own fate. That's leadership. And it begins the moment you stop asking for permission and start engineering outcomes.
The first rule of the club: don't talk about the club. Live it.